What if the pennies sitting in your pocket right now could be worth thousands of dollars? In this video, we're going to explore 4 Wheat pennies that collectors are searching for, including rare dates from 1950, 1952, 1955, and 1957. Some of these coins were once common, but today they could hold surprising value in the auction market. Stay with us and check your coins carefully, because one of these hidden treasures might already be in your collection. First coin. The famous Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny, a simple 1-cent coin that once passed through millions of hands without attracting attention. Yet collectors believe that something unusual happened when massive numbers of these pennies were quietly stored away, creating a mystery that still fascinates coin hunters around the world. Imagine holding a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny in your hand. At first glance, it looks ordinary. The coin shows signs of circulation, with small scratches across the surface, gentle wear around the edges, and a smooth texture that tells the story of years spent passing from one pocket to another. The color is a natural brown, formed after decades of exposure to air and handling. In very good condition, the wheat stalks on the reverse side are still visible, though worn, and the portrait on the front remains recognizable despite the softening of fine details. For many years, pennies like these were used daily in shops, vending machines, and cash registers across the United States. But collectors began noticing rumors that large quantities of wheat pennies, especially from the mid-20th century, were being quietly removed from circulation. The story goes that billions of older pennies were stored in Federal Reserve vaults, enough to supply the country for decades without needing to mint new ones. Some collectors believe that this quiet stockpiling created a shortage of certain dates in circulation, making surviving coins more desirable over time. Whether these stories were fully accurate or simply collector legends, one fact is clear. Interest in Lincoln Wheat pennies began to grow rapidly. People who once ignored their spare change started looking more carefully at the dates on their coins. The 1950 wheat penny without a mint mark became one of the coins frequently searched for, especially among beginners who hoped to discover something valuable hiding in plain sight. Now picture a 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny that has lived a long life. It has been used in countless transactions. It may have paid for candy at a corner store decades ago, rested in a child's piggy bank, or traveled across multiple states in pockets and purses. Over time, the coin developed scratches, small marks, and a worn appearance. The once shiny copper surface turned into a warm brown tone, the color most collectors associate with naturally aged copper coins. In very good condition, this coin does not look perfect. The design details are softer than when the coin was new. The lettering remains readable, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are still clear, though worn along the edges. These signs of wear do not mean the coin has no value. In fact, for many collectors, circulated coins tell a richer story because they have truly been part of history. What makes the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny especially interesting is how collectors view its potential value. While millions were originally minted, the number of surviving coins in collectible condition becomes smaller with each passing year. Many were lost, damaged, or melted down when copper prices rose. Others were forgotten in jars and drawers, waiting to be rediscovered decades later. Auction markets have shown surprising results over the years. Ordinary-looking coins sometimes turn into valuable treasures when collectors recognize unique features. A coin with an unusual strike, strong detail despite circulation, or historical demand can attract serious bidders. Stories circulate in the coin community about rare examples of 1950 wheat pennies reaching astonishing prices in special auctions. In extraordinary circumstances, highly sought-after pieces have been rumored to approach values as high as $500,000. Especially when collectors compete intensely for coins connected to historical collecting trends. The idea of such a high value makes many people curious about their own collections. Imagine opening an old jar of coins inherited from a relative and spotting a small brown wheat penny among the mix. At first, it seems like nothing more than spare change. But after checking the date and examining the condition, you realize it might hold more significance than expected. This moment of discovery is what keeps collectors searching day after day. Even the scratches and surface wear on a circulated coin can add character. Each tiny mark represents a moment in the coin's journey. The worn edges suggest years of use, while the brown color shows natural aging rather than artificial cleaning. Many collectors actually prefer coins with original surfaces, even if they show signs of wear, because authenticity matters more than perfection. Another reason these coins attract attention is their historical connection. The wheat penny design itself was used for decades and became one of the most recognizable symbols in American coinage. By 1950, the coin had already been part of daily life for many years, making it a familiar sight in households across the nation. Holding one today feels like touching a small piece of everyday history. Collectors often recommend checking every wheat penny carefully, even those in worn condition. Look closely at the date, the clarity of the design, and the overall surface. Small differences can make a big impact on value. A coin that appears average to one person might look special to an experienced collector who understands what to search for. The mystery of stored coins, rumored shortages, and rising collector demand continues to fuel interest in the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Whether the stories of government stockpiles were exaggerated or not, they created excitement that pushed people to save coins instead of spending them. That excitement still exists today, encouraging collectors to examine their spare change more carefully than ever before. Next, the United States government quietly began removing large numbers of older pennies from circulation without any major press conference or public announcement. These were not just any coins, but the famous Abraham Lincoln Wheat Pennies, coins that had been used by generations of Americans for everyday purchases. The story suggests that while people continued using newer coins, billions of older wheat pennies were slowly gathered and stored away. Reports among collectors often mention that nearly 1 billion Lincoln Wheat Pennies were stockpiled inside Federal Reserve vaults. That amount of coins would have been enough to supply the country with pennies for decades. The belief was that officials decided these older coins were no longer needed in everyday circulation, so they were quietly removed from public use while most people never noticed the change happening. Among these coins, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark became one of the most talked about pieces. At the time it was minted, this coin was meant to be ordinary. It was struck for everyday transactions and released into circulation where it passed from hand to hand in grocery stores, gas stations, and small businesses across the country. No one expected that decades later, collectors would begin searching for these coins with excitement and curiosity. Now imagine holding a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny in your hand today. The coin shows clear signs of circulation. It has scratches across the surface, small marks from years of use, and smooth areas where the design has been worn down by constant handling. In very good condition, the coin still shows the portrait of Abraham Lincoln clearly, though the finer details of his hair and coat may appear softened. On the reverse side, the wheat stalks remain visible but worn along the edges, giving the coin a well-used but historic appearance. The surface of the coin tells a story of its journey. Each scratch and mark represents a moment in time when the coin was exchanged between people. Perhaps it once paid for a newspaper, bought candy for a child, or was dropped into a vending machine decades ago. Over many years, the coin's original shine faded, leaving behind the natural look of circulated copper. This kind of wear does not mean the coin has no value. In fact, collectors often appreciate coins that show honest signs of age because they represent real history. As time passed, fewer wheat pennies remained in circulation. Some were lost, others were damaged beyond recognition, and many were saved by collectors who recognized their historical importance. This gradual reduction in available coins increased interest in surviving examples, especially coins from the late years of wheat penny production like the 1957 issue. Collectors today pay close attention to the condition of these coins. A 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. In very good condition, typically shows moderate wear but still holds clear features. The date remains readable, the lettering is visible, and the general design can be recognized without difficulty. Even with scratches and circulation marks, the coin remains collectible because of its age and historical value. Over the years, auction markets have surprised many people with the prices certain coins can achieve. While millions of 1957 wheat pennies were originally produced, finding well-preserved examples decades later is not always easy. Coins that survived heavy circulation while still maintaining readable details have become more desirable to collectors. There are also stories of rare and unusual examples attracting strong bidding interest. Some coins gain attention because of striking quality, preservation, or collector demand. In special auction settings, certain highly desirable wheat pennies have reached remarkable values when collectors compete to own them. In extraordinary cases reported among collector communities, values have been discussed as reaching as high as $480,000 for special examples connected to unique collecting demand. The idea that a simple penny could reach such an impressive value inspires many people to check their spare change more carefully. Imagine opening an old jar filled with coins saved over many years and discovering a 1,957 wheat penny among them. At first, it might seem like an ordinary coin, something that was once worth only 1 cent. But with the right condition and collector interest, that same coin could represent a piece of history with surprising value. Collectors often emphasize the importance of careful examination. Even a circulated coin with scratches and visible wear can still hold interest. The natural aging process gives the coin character, and the worn surfaces prove that it has truly been part of everyday life. These qualities make wheat pennies more than just currency. They become small historical artifacts. The Lincoln Wheat Penny design itself played a major role in its popularity. For decades, it remained one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. By 1957, the design had already been familiar to millions of people. Children, parents, and shopkeepers all handled these coins regularly, making them a lasting symbol of daily life during that era. Today, the search for Lincoln Wheat Pennies continues around the world. Collectors check coin rolls, inherited collections, and forgotten storage boxes, hoping to find valuable pieces hidden among ordinary coins. The excitement of discovery is what keeps the hobby alive, encouraging both beginners and experienced collectors to remain alert. So, if you ever come across a 1,957 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, showing scratches, circulation wear, and the classic look of a very good condition coin, take a moment to examine it carefully. What appears to be an ordinary piece of copper could carry decades of history and the possibility of significant value in today's auction market. For many collectors, the thrill lies in knowing that even the smallest coin can hold a story worth far more than its original 1-cent value. Next, the well-known Abraham Lincoln Wheat Pennies that had once been used by millions of people across the United States. According to collector stories, while people continued using modern coins, older wheat pennies were being gathered and stored away. The belief grew that nearly 1 billion Lincoln Wheat Pennies were stockpiled inside Federal Reserve vaults. That amount would have been enough to supply the nation with pennies for many years. Some collectors believe officials decided that these older coins were no longer needed in daily use, so they were quietly set aside while newer coins replaced them in circulation. Among these coins, the 1,952 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark became one of the interesting dates that collectors began to notice. At the time it was minted, this coin was not considered special. It was produced to be spent like any other 1-cent coin. It traveled through shops, markets, and vending machines, passing from hand to hand without anyone thinking it might one day become collectible. Now imagine holding a 1,952 Lincoln Wheat Penny in your hand today. The coin has clearly been circulated for many years. Its surface shows scratches from repeated use, and there are signs of wear and tear across the design. The coin may feel smooth in some areas where the raised details have slowly worn down. In very good condition, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front is still visible, though many fine details such as hair strands and coat lines appear softened due to long use. On the reverse side, the famous wheat stalks remain visible but show noticeable wear along the edges. The lettering is readable, and the date 1,952 can still be clearly identified. These signs of age are normal for coins that have spent decades in circulation. Instead of reducing interest, this type of wear often adds character and history to the coin, reminding collectors that it has been part of countless transactions. Think about the journey this coin may have taken. It might have once been used to buy a loaf of bread, pay for a newspaper, or purchase candy from a small store. It may have been stored in piggy banks, coin jars, or drawers before returning to circulation again. Each scratch and surface mark tells a small story from its long life. These marks are proof that the coin has traveled through time and remained in use through many generations. As years passed, fewer wheat pennies remained in everyday use. Some were lost forever, others were damaged beyond saving, and many were collected by hobbyists who recognized their growing popularity. The idea that large numbers of coins had been stored away added excitement among collectors, encouraging more people to check their spare change carefully. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark is especially interesting to collectors because it represents the final years before the wheat penny design was eventually replaced. Coins from this period are often searched for because they connect to an important time in American coin history. Even circulated examples in very good condition can still attract attention because they remain part of a classic and well-loved series. In very good condition, this coin shows moderate wear across its surface. Scratches may be visible, and the edges of the design may appear smooth from years of use. The coin's surface wear and tear are expected after decades of circulation. Despite this, the coin still holds its recognizable appearance, and its natural aged look is often preferred by collectors who value authenticity. Auction markets have shown that even ordinary-looking coins can sometimes achieve impressive results. While millions of 1952 wheat pennies were originally produced, finding ones that survived in collectible condition decades later becomes more challenging. Some coins were melted when copper prices increased, while others were simply forgotten or lost. Over time, this reduction in surviving coins helped increase interest in the remaining examples. There are stories shared among collectors about certain wheat pennies attracting strong attention during auctions. Some coins become valuable due to collector demand, preservation quality, or unique history connected to the series. In special cases, highly sought-after examples of wheat pennies have been discussed with values reaching as high as $483,000 when strong competition occurs between collectors eager to secure a rare piece. The possibility that a single penny could hold such a high value encourages many people to take a closer look at their old coins. Imagine opening an old container filled with spare change and discovering a worn 1952 wheat penny inside. At first, it might seem like just another small coin, but with the right features and collector interest, it could become something far more important. Collectors often remind beginners that condition matters greatly. Even with scratches, surface wear, and signs of circulation, a coin in very good condition can still be desirable. The key is that the date remains readable and the design can still be identified. Natural wear that developed over time is usually preferred over coins that were cleaned or damaged in unnatural ways. The Lincoln Wheat Penny design itself holds lasting appeal. For decades, it remained one of the most recognizable coins in American history. By 1952, millions of people had handled wheat pennies daily, making them a symbol of everyday life during that period. Holding one today feels like holding a small piece of the past. Today, collectors continue searching through coin rolls, old jars, and inherited collections hoping to discover valuable wheat pennies. The excitement of finding an old coin with history behind it keeps the hobby alive and growing. Every coin has a story, and sometimes those stories lead to unexpected discoveries. So if you ever find a 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, showing scratches, surface wear, and signs of long circulation, do not ignore it. Take a moment to examine it carefully. What appears to be an ordinary coin might carry decades of history and the possibility of surprising value in today's auction market. For many collectors, the greatest thrill comes from knowing that even a simple 1-cent coin can hold a story worth far more than its face value. Next, the United States government had slowly started removing large numbers of older pennies from circulation. These were the famous Abraham Lincoln Wheat Pennies, coins that had once been used daily by millions of Americans for decades. Collectors often talk about how huge quantities of these wheat pennies were quietly gathered and stored away. The story suggests that nearly 1 billion Lincoln Wheat Pennies were stockpiled inside Federal Reserve vaults. That number of coins would have been enough to supply the country with pennies for many decades without the need to produce more. Some believe officials decided that these older coins were no longer necessary for everyday use, so they were gradually removed from circulation while newer coins replaced them. Many people continued their daily routines without realizing that these historic coins were slowly disappearing from common use. Among these coins, the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark became one of the most talked about dates among collectors. When it was first produced, the 1955 Wheat Penny was never meant to be rare or valuable. It was simply created to be used like any other 1-cent coin. It passed through grocery stores, restaurants, gas stations, and small shops, becoming part of everyday life. Over time, these coins traveled across cities and towns, exchanged countless times without anyone realizing their future interest to collectors. Now imagine holding a 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny in your hand today. This coin has clearly been circulated for many years. It shows scratches across the surface from constant use, and the design has softened due to wear over time. In good condition, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln is still visible, though many of the finer details are worn down. The lettering remains readable, and the date 1955 can still be identified without difficulty. On the reverse side, the wheat stalks that give the coin its famous name are still present but worn. The edges of the stalks may appear smooth, and some areas may show dark spots or toning. These dark spots form naturally as copper reacts with air, moisture, and years of handling. Surface scratches and dark toning tell the story of the coin's long journey. Think about how many hands may have held this single penny. It may have been used to buy candy decades ago, dropped into a child's piggy bank, or stored inside a drawer for years before returning to circulation again. Each small mark on this coin represents a moment in its past, making it more than just a piece of metal. It becomes a small object filled with history. As time passed, fewer wheat pennies remained in everyday circulation. Many were lost, thrown away, or damaged beyond saving. Others were collected and stored by hobbyists who believed these coins would one day become valuable. The idea that large numbers were being stored in vaults created even more excitement among collectors, encouraging them to search carefully through their change. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark gained special attention because it represents one of the final years before the wheat penny design was eventually replaced in 1959 coins. From the mid-1950s are often collected because they connect to an important period in American coin history. Even in good condition, with visible wear and toning, these coins remain popular among collectors. In good condition, the coin shows heavy signs of circulation. The design is still visible, but much of the fine detail has been reduced due to long use. Despite these signs of wear, the coin still holds value because of its age and historical significance. The surface may have multiple scratches, worn areas, and dark toning spots. Many collectors appreciate coins in circulated condition because they represent real use in everyday life. Auction markets over the years have shown that even worn coins can attract strong interest. While millions of 1955 wheat pennies were originally produced, finding ones that survived in collectible condition decades later can be challenging. Some coins were melted down when copper prices increased, while others were simply lost or forgotten. This gradual reduction in available coins has increased collector interest in surviving examples. There are stories in the coin collecting world about certain wheat pennies reaching impressive prices at auctions. Some coins become valuable due to strong collector demand, historical interest, or special features that make them stand out. In certain rare situations, highly desirable wheat pennies have been discussed with values reaching as high as $250,000 when collectors compete to obtain unique pieces. The idea that a simple penny could be worth thousands of dollars encourages many people to check their spare change more carefully. Imagine opening an old jar filled with coins saved over many years and discovering a 1955 wheat penny inside. At first glance, it might seem like nothing more than an ordinary coin. But with the right combination of age, condition, and collector demand, that small coin could carry surprising value. Collectors often advise taking time to examine every wheat penny carefully. Even coins with scratches, dark toning, and visible wear can still be important. The key is that the date remains readable and the design can still be recognized. Natural aging is usually preferred over coins that have been cleaned or altered, because original surfaces help preserve the coin's authenticity. The Lincoln Wheat Penny design itself remains one of the most recognizable images in American coin history. For decades, people used these coins in their daily lives, making them a symbol of ordinary moments from the past. By 1955, the wheat penny had already been part of American culture for many years, making it familiar to nearly every household. Today, collectors around the world continue searching through old collections, coin rolls, and inherited jars hoping to discover hidden treasures. The excitement of finding an old wheat penny keeps the hobby alive and growing. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story leads to unexpected discoveries. So if you ever come across a 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, showing scratches, dark spots, toning, and heavy circulation wear, do not ignore it. Take a closer look before setting it aside. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed learning about this valuable Lincoln
appears
Wheat
to be
Penny,
an ordinary
make
coin
sure to like this
might
video
carry
and
decades
subscribe
of
to the
history
channel for more
and the
rare
possibility
coin
of surprising
discoveries.
value in today's
Stay
auction
tuned,
market.
because your next coin could be worth a fortune. For many collectors, the greatest thrill comes from knowing that even a simple 1-cent coin can hold a story worth far more than its original value.